The story of the world has always been the story of energy. Coal powered the Industrial Revolution. Oil funded the 20th century, and every empire that controlled those energy flows controlled the world. But in 2026, something changed. Quietly, structurally, irreversibly. The world's most valuable commodity is no longer crude oil pulled from the earth. It is intelligence, synthetic, scalable, infinitely deployable intelligence, manufactured here, in rooms exactly like this one, consuming power at a scale that would have been considered science fiction 5 years ago. $650 billion. That is the combined capital expenditure that Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft will deploy in 2026 alone. Not revenue, not profit, capital. Concrete and steel and silicon and power being poured into the ground at a rate that is physically reshaping the United States. That number is not a line item, it is a declaration. Let's start with the architecture. In 1944, the United States wrote the rules of global finance at Bretton Woods. Every currency was pegged to the dollar. The dollar was pegged to gold. Simple, elegant, and utterly dependent on American discipline. In 1971, Nixon closed the gold window. The dollar was unmoored. The world held its breath. But in 1974, two men, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and Treasury Secretary William Simon, engineered something far more durable than gold. They struck a deal with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Simple in structure, revolutionary in consequence. The petrodollar was born. Every barrel of oil on earth priced and settled in American dollars. If you wanted energy, you needed dollars. If you needed dollars, you were inside the American financial system. It was not diplomacy, it was architecture. For 50 years, it worked. But something is fracturing. The dollar's share of global reserves has fallen to 56.9%, a 30-year low confirmed by IMF data, down from 72% at the turn of the century. The erosion is slow enough to ignore, and that is precisely the danger. The petrodollar is not dying in a crash, it is dying in a drift. Now, understand something. This is not a crisis. This is a transition. And transitions of this magnitude do not announce themselves. They are only visible in retrospect, to those who knew what to look for. Here is what to look for. In 1974, the strategic asset was oil. Access to it was managed through alliances and armies. In 2026, the strategic asset is compute, the ability to generate, process, and deploy artificial intelligence at scale. And access to it is being managed through exactly the same mechanism: control of the supply chain and terms of sale. This is what economists call fiscal dominance. When private capital investment is so large, so concentrated, and so structurally embedded that it begins to reshape macroeconomic policy itself, that is fiscal dominance. And right now, the $650 billion being deployed by 4 American technology companies is doing exactly that. Bridgewater Associates estimates this spending alone will add approximately 100 basis points, 1 full percentage point, to US GDP growth in 2026. But here is where the story becomes truly interesting: the intelligence arbitrage. A nation, let's say any nation in the Middle East, spends $10 billion on data center infrastructure, buying American chips. One-time cost. But those chips can then generate $50 to $100 billion annually in AI-enabled exports. autonomous logistics, medical diagnostics, financial modeling, sold to every corner of the global south and beyond. In which currency does that trade settle? That question, that single question, is the most important geopolitical problem of the next decade. To understand the scale of what is being built, you have to understand something fundamental about intelligence at scale. It is physical, profoundly, stubbornly, expensive physical.
A standard enterprise server rack consumes between 5 and 15 kilowatts. An AI-optimized rack loaded with the latest GPU clusters consumes between 30 and 100 kilowatts. The same footprint, 7 times the power draw. Multiply that by 100,000 racks, then by 100 facilities. Then ask yourself, where does that electricity come from? The answer in 2025 and 2026 is nuclear. Microsoft made the first move, a $1.6 billion deal with Constellation Energy, a 20-year power purchase agreement, 835 megawatts. The location? 3 Mile Island, the site of America's worst nuclear accident, reactivated and recommissioned to power the most advanced artificial intelligence infrastructure on Earth, expected online in 2027. Let that image sit with you for a moment. The ghost of America's nuclear nightmare resurrected to feed the intelligence economy. Amazon moved next, $650 million to acquire Talon Energy's data center campus, physically co-located next to the Susquehanna nuclear power plant in northeastern Pennsylvania. A behind-the-meter connection, meaning Amazon servers would plug directly into the reactor's output, bypassing the public grid entirely. 260 million homes worth of electricity flowing into a single corporate campus. The total Pennsylvania investment, $20 billion, the largest capital commitment in that state's history. The governor signed off. The regulators are still catching up.
This is the emergence of the new utilities.
In the 20th century, utilities were governments and regulated monopolies. They owned the infrastructure that civilization depended on. In the 21st century, that role, without a single vote being cast, without a single regulator deciding it, has been absorbed by 4 private technology companies. They are building their own power generation, their own transmission infrastructure, their own cooling systems, their own fiber networks. When they're done, they will be more critical to national security than any power company that currently exists. Wholesale electricity prices near major U.S. data center corridors have already risen 267%. That is not an anomaly, that is a pricing signal. And pricing signals in markets are the first language of power. McKinsey projects $6.7 trillion in global data center capital deployment through 2030. Goldman Sachs forecasts a 165% increase in data center power demand by the end of the decade. This is not a technology trend. This is a civilizational infrastructure build, the largest in human history. Now, we arrive at the central paradox of the intelligence economy. We have the chips, NVIDIA's H100s, B200s, the forthcoming Vera Rubin architecture, they exist. The silicon is fabricated, tested, and stacked in facilities across Taiwan, Japan, and the United States. The $5.2 trillion AI infrastructure race is well underway. We do not have the grid. In November 2025, Schneider Electric, one of the world's foremost electrical infrastructure companies, published an analysis. By 2028, the United States will face a supply shortfall relative to peak demand. By 2033, that gap will reach 175 gigawatts. For context, 175 gigawatts is the equivalent of approximately 175 large nuclear power plants operating simultaneously, simply to close the gap between what we have and what we need. We have roughly 7 years. We are not on pace.
Deloitte's analysis is even more specific. AI data centers in the United States will draw 4 gigawatts of power in 2025. By 2035, that number reaches 123 gigawatts, a 30-fold increase in a single decade, in a single country, against a grid infrastructure that was largely designed in the 1970s and has not been meaningfully upgraded since. Northern Virginia, they call it Data Center Alley, the highest concentration of digital infrastructure on the planet. Roughly 1/3 of all internet traffic on Earth passes through this corridor, and the grid that underlies it is cracking. The PJM interconnection, the grid operator managing power for 13 states and Washington, D.C., faces a projected 6 gigawatt shortfall as early as 2027. The interconnection queue, the waiting list for new power generation to connect to the grid, has ballooned to a staggering 2,600 gigawatts of pending projects. The median wait time to actually reach commercial operation is now approaching 5 years. And here is where the constraint becomes existential. High-voltage transformers, the critical nodes that step electricity up for transmission and back down for use, are on 18-month production backlogs. The factories that build them are running at capacity. The supply chain for their core materials, grain-oriented electrical steel, is controlled by a small number of producers globally. You cannot simply print more transformers. You cannot simply build more grid. These are physical objects made of physical materials, constrained by physical manufacturing capacity. This creates a new form of scarcity, one that most investors have not yet priced. Land with existing high-voltage grid interconnects, pre-permitted, pre-connected with available transmission capacity, has become the most valuable real estate in America. Not Fifth Avenue, not Rodeo Drive, not the waterfront in Miami. A parcel in rural Virginia or Ohio, sitting adjacent to a functioning 500 kilovolt substation with available capacity, is, in functional terms, worth more per acre than Midtown Manhattan. Because you can build a Manhattan Tower next year, you cannot build a grid connection for 5 years.
This geographic constraint, the fact that you cannot easily build data centers where the grid is congested, is one of the forces that is globalizing the intelligence economy. The Gulf states, with vast open land, abundant solar and nuclear potential, and sovereign wealth that can move at a speed no private company can match, they are being positioned as the next frontier of compute infrastructure. Which brings us to the endgame. Here is the play. The United States signed a strategic AI partnership with Saudi Arabia. Weeks before that, a parallel agreement with the UAE. Both deals include access to leading-edge American semiconductors sold to G42 in the UAE and Humain in Saudi Arabia. Chips that no other country in the region can access. Access to American compute power. Granted, conditioned, strategic. Analysts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies have named what is being built: the compute dollar system. The logic is precise. A country spends $10 billion on American chip-powered data center infrastructure. Those chips, over their operating life, generate $50 to $100 billion annually in AI-enabled exports, autonomous vehicles, drug discovery algorithms, financial modeling engines, exported to the Global South, to Europe, to emerging markets worldwide. In what currency does that trade settle? If the answer is the dollar, the United States maintains monetary primacy. Treasury demand stays elevated, borrowing costs stay low, the fiscal capacity of the American state is preserved. If the answer is the renminbi, if Beijing's competing AI stack, backed by its digital yuan settlement infrastructure, wins the race for the Global South, then the petrodollar's slow drift becomes a structural collapse. In July 2025, President Trump signed the Genius Act, establishing federal regulation of dollar-backed payment stablecoins, one-to-one backing by US dollars or short-term treasuries, instant, programmable, verifiable settlement on a distributed ledger. This is Kissinger's 1974 playbook, rendered in code. In 1974, the United States didn't just sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, it anchored the global energy trade to the dollar through an implicit agreement with structural consequences. The compute dollar system is being designed to be explicit, enforceable, and programmable, conditions written directly into chip export licenses. Beijing understands this entirely. China is already exporting its own AI stack, chips, models, and infrastructure to nations that the US has left outside its chip export perimeter, and is building digital yuan payment rails in parallel. Chinese officials are explicit. The digital yuan is designed to escape what they call the weaponization of dollar-based systems, meaning the ability of the United States to impose sanctions. The chip is the new barrel. Access to compute is the new access to energy. And the nation that controls the terms of access, the licensing conditions, the settlement currency, the export perimeters, that nation holds the same structural advantage that the United States held when oil was priced exclusively in dollars. We are watching the architecture of a new monetary system being built in real time inside chip export licenses and data center power purchase agreements and stablecoin regulations. Most people are not watching. At the beginning of this century, the wealthiest sovereign wealth funds on Earth were measured in barrels of oil. The financial architecture of nations was denominated in the number of wells they owned, the pipelines they controlled, the tankers they could dispatch. We are now at the beginning of a new century of a different kind. The measure of national wealth is shifting, slowly, structurally, irreversibly, towards something else entirely. Kilowatt hours, megawatt capacity, grid interconnects, nuclear baseload, and the silicon that transforms raw electricity into synthetic intelligence. The poor save dollars. The rich save kilowatts.